So it's been a long day. I wanted to take a minute to analyze this guy. Uh, you should definitely know who this guy is. He hit 714 home runs in an era when I think the next highest total was somewhere in the low 100s. That was the previous record. Of course, this is George Herman Ruth, better known as Babe Ruth, and this is one of the better side views of him swinging. Unfortunately, though, it comes in a little late, so we only get him at leg lift. If you've seen some of my previous posts, he will start with his legs close together, much like our lever creation drill. And when we flip this forward a little bit, you're going to see him create a fantastic, armed bar with the front barred arm, I should say, with the front arm and lead shoulder. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that he does very well. He uses the ground exceptionally well. But there are other couple small things that he does that I think are, just great reminders for our guys. Whether you're a fish or whether you're, a varsity hawk. He really keeps it simple and a couple of key movements, and I think that might be helpful for some of you guys, I should say. So what we're going to see here when I start forwarding it is, he's going to get to stride foot plant. And what, I'm already kind of looking at is how that lever is being created. I mean, you can see it go, he's going away from his hands, and that lever is starting to really straighten out. And we see that there. And then, of course, he's also barrel loading, which is going to give us the good angular velocity that we like. One of the things you're going to see at stride foot plant right there. Okay, let me clear up the. Actually, I'm going to leave that there just so I can have a couple of shots where I'm illustrating everything. So when he gets to stride foot plant here, he hasn't slammed his heel down yet, but he's getting close. You're seeing the hips, okay, working already. They are definitely working before the hands fire. So let's back it up a little bit right there. And at stride foot plant, you can see the hips opening. See that? And the bat's relatively in the same position. And he hasn't shrunk his lever at all. Bat's in the same position. That's this. Lever's in the same position. That's this. Okay. And then, of course, we have the hips right here firing. Right there. Stride foot plant. I'm going to clear all this up now. Very important to notice that. So, again, he's opening these hips early, getting them going early. Okay. And the bat's still where it's supposed to be. Okay. He's not firing them at the same time, which I see a lot of kids do too often. Okay. Those hips are firing first, and that's the proper kinetic sequence that we're after. We'll see him come into impact here. And that's one of the things I wanted to illustrate that was so simple yet effective about the Babe. Now, there isn't much difference between this frame and this frame, save one thing. Okay? And that one thing, let me get my cursor up, is that back elbow. He does what's called slotting. It's taking your elbow and driving it into your body and down so that he can get his barrel in an optimal position to fire through the zone. And it's a real simple, efficient, and subtle move that the Babe uses here. And I thought that would be helpful to illustrate. And there you'll see this is really the only move between those two frames is that slotting with that back elbow. Okay. Now, you'll see a lot of coaches and experts say that he's dropping his back shoulder, and of course any of you that have been listening to what I post and follow what I do know that that's not true. He's simply getting on plane and getting his hips going early. Getting on plane is not dropping your back shoulder, and pop-ups do not occur because you're dropping your back shoulder. Pop-ups occur because you're late, your barrel bounces, and you're not in a static position, palm up, palm down at impact. And that is why pop-ups occur, not because you're quote-unquote dropping your back shoulder. So let's move on from that one there. See if I can clear that up. There we go. I'm going to see Babe come into the zone here. Very efficient, not a whole lot going on except for him coming into the zone. We're going to see good back knee drive here. Another thing that we talk about a lot, good back knee drive where his foot is more parallel to the ground rather than up and down. You'll see a lot of kids when they go into the zone, their back leg will resemble that. Oh, I'm sorry, let me get that out of there. Their back knee or back leg and knee will resemble kind of like that position. That's actually not bad. More of like a more vertical position like that. And what we want to see is, instead of having that, we want to see what the babe's doing here, where it's almost parallel. I mean, not quite parallel to the ground, but close. We'd like to see it closer to being parallel to the ground rather than closer to being up and down. Put it that way. Okay. Clear that up. So here's a Bambino at impact. And this is a great shot. This video is probably, close to 100 years old, and we've got this great shot here, and I love it. We see flexion here in impact with that top arm. Okay. So when we can get our elbow up and maybe not parallel with the shoulder, but close to it, depending on the location of the pitch, it's going to allow us to have something behind as we push through the baseball to give us even more pop. The front leg here is straightening up at impact. Okay, let me move that back right there. Okay, that's all good. Okay, he's not fooled. He expects to hit this ball, and he does. And then you'll see that right after impact, he's pushing through with his hands, the last arc to fire. Okay, and we talk about this a lot. A lot of bad information out there about hitting. One of them is, hey, take your hands to the ball. Hey, take your knob to the ball. Trust your hands. Hands, hands, hands. No, the hands should be the last thing to fire. Okay? Again, we want the big muscles to drive the train. And if this illustration from Babe Ruth doesn't show you that, then I don't know what else to tell you. Have your instructor find a video of Babe Ruth driving to the ball with his hands first. You can see that his hands don't fire until the end there. Okay? We know that because there's flexion in his elbow there. Okay, you can't fire your hands and have flexion in your elbow joints there. Okay, that's not possible. He's got flexion in both arms. Okay. So what I really like seeing there is sorry about that. What I really like seeing there is that good flexion there, and then at impact he turns, and then he's going to try to hold that position. He doesn't roll over till right there. So well after impact, the Babe rolls over. And what do we see that lets us know that he's using his hips efficiently? Well, we'll see that front ankle roll, of course. Okay, and you can see that the Babe is on his heel there, and that the inner instep of his foot is off the ground. He has rolled onto the outside part of his right foot as a left-handed hitter. Okay, and let's see if we can see that continue. Sure, and there it goes. And then when his decel, though not terribly long, again, he's a big man. So Babe doesn't need a long decel like Giancarlo doesn't need a long decel. Bigger men, they don't need that. Smaller guys like Pedroia or Ken Griffey Jr., they do need longer decels if they want to hit the ball far. Babe doesn't need to, but still, he's got a lot of degrees of freedom to slow down there. And then he's got that flex knee, and there's his decel. And I think that's as far as we get with him. Okay? So there's his decel there. That's the great Babe Ruth. 714 home runs the old-fashioned way. Using physics and God-given talent. And that's it.